Welcome to episode 4 of Under the Influence by Lunar Crush, the platform that empowers content creators with the insights and tools necessary to flourish on social media. We're here to have candid conversations with prominent social media figures and uncover the secrets of their success, share their unique content creation tips and tricks, and offer actionable strategies to help you achieve success in your own social accounts. Today, we're going to be speaking with Ameer, who is a remarkable figure in video game culture, known for his exceptional understanding of gaming industry trends. His blend of news, predictions, and commentary on various platforms resonates deeply with gaming enthusiasts, showing his ability to connect and engage with the community. At Mogul Gaming, Ameer creates engaging content for both gaming enthusiasts and professionals. And today we're going to explore his approach to content creation and the insights he has gained in his influential role in the gaming industry. Hi, Ameer. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, I'm glad to be here. Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Pretty good. It's like 9 p.m. here, so I have university tomorrow, but I'm like, I can't miss this. I have to get this interview.
Well, we really appreciate you being here, and I promise we're going to make it worth your while.
I'm looking forward to it.
So let's dive right in. Let's take a look at. We want to start by highlighting your creator profile on Lunar Crush, which is very impressive. Your creator rank is 566, which is really high, and it's a metric that is based on your followers, your recent post engagement, post interactions, all within the last 24 hours. And it looks at all social media accounts across X, TikTok, YouTube, and Reddit. So 566 is a really, really good rank. Additionally, when we're looking at the topics that you're influential in, we see here that you rank second for Grand Theft Auto, which is also amazing. Are you aware of how well that you rank on GTA?
Well, I didn't know it was that good, but I know it was good.
Yeah, it's really good. And then even when we're looking at the gaming category, which tracks like the top game titles as well as the creators for them, you currently rank 23rd across the entire gaming ecosystem, which is also amazing. And then finally, looking at your post interactions. In the past 24 hours, your posts have garnered 4,490,494 interactions, which is interactions takes into account views, replies, favorites, retweets, quote tweets. So that's really, really high. And like, yeah, your profile is so impressive. We think you're doing fantastic work and we'd love to discuss how you got here. So
Oh,
I'm going to just,
it's a little unbelievable to look at.
yeah. Well, let's start with some of your background. Can you tell us how you first got involved in gaming and what drew you to this world?
Oh, so I actually played my first game ever was Vice City. Fun fact. I was 4 years old. And since I was like really young, let's say I was like 7 years old, I'd be on the internet all the time. A little unsupervised, to be honest, not a good idea back in the day looking back. But I used to just love watching YouTube, Minecraft videos, Ali A, GTA 5 as well. I was like 10 and I'd watch Vanos, GTA News, IGN, that type of thing. And English was actually not even my native language. I learned it through video games and watching videos. Like I never actually took an English course. I just know it. I don't know how. So I think it was around 2015, I made, yeah, 2014 actually. That was my first account on Twitter, and I only actually made it to interact with YouTubers I like enjoyed watching. My account is hidden, by the way. If you find it's like I was like 11 years old going at Angry Joe, hey man, can you give me your thoughts on this? They would never reply, but it was I was really young and I'd see all the trends, what trend did, and around 2017, that's when I made Synth Potato, the account I have right now, which was also pretty much for the same idea. I just interact with people I liked. And over time, it started to grow, like especially the past 2 years. And I think that's mainly because I didn't want to be. So I have a passion for talking about games. I love to fucking talk about games. Excuse the language. I hope that's allowed. I really love talking about games. Like I was always the guy in class talking about games, not football, not basketball, not sports. So Twitter was like that opportunity for me to talk about games, and I just kept doing it. And then people started to like my things, and I was like, oh, like people care about what I have to speak. That was like something for someone at my age. Right now I'm 20 years old, by the way. I started when I was like 16, 15, around then. So really young. So to me, seeing that was crazy. And then the biggest thing was in 2019, it was, yeah, so in 2019, I was 16. Yeah, I was 16. I made this post, a guide on Red Dead Online, and Rockstar retweeted it and followed me and put it on all their articles. And that was like the first push I had in like followers and views and everything. And I just built off that. So the past like 4 years of work, it's all because Rockstar, shared my things. They thought it was cool. So that was like the main thing that pushed it. And I just kept doing it and doing it. And I would say especially the last year, since Elon Musk started with the whole monetization program, I was like, maybe I should just invest myself into this. But thing is, I do study a really hard major in university. I'm an aeronautical engineer, so I'm like balancing the two things, and it's actually working out so far. And when I realized I had a good ability to make posts that click with people, I can make controversial things, I have, but controversial things don't really matter. I wanted to make a following. And the more I put my thoughts out, especially in like articles, since there's like long form tweets now, you can write articles. I write a lot of these and people love them. I really think they're the future, by the way. Like long form articles inside Twitter, inside Facebook. That's the future, not like IGN, not like GameSpot, separate websites. That's what it felt like it was growing into. And that all culminated in the last couple of months when I joined Mogul Gaming with Game Pass Tracker and everything, which has been really great. Actually, one of the most fantastic decisions I've ever made to work with the guys there. So yeah, I think that's a good general background.
So how do you balance all of it?
That's a good question. I actually don't know. I have this thing. I'm always doing something. Always, I just can't sit still. I'm either playing something, writing something, or studying. Like I'm gonna move the camera and show you my notes because they're like right under here. There's like, oh, I didn't even show. Well, but I have a lot of notebooks, because I'm studying a lot. So maybe I'm in university and I decide I have a tweet idea. So I schedule the tweet usually just to put it out later. So I just schedule it like right in the middle of class and then I go back to what I'm doing. It's very 50-50, I would say. But my grades are like decent, so I'm happy about them. It's working out.
And so now with Grand Theft Auto 6 that's been announced and with the expected release in 2025, um, seeing that you're so influential in that category, what does your content creation plan look like? Do you have like a strategy for like the upcoming year until launch? Like, what are you thinking about how you're going to approach it?
Well, I think mainly the main idea is just keep talking about it because I'm excited. Like I'm really excited for GTA 6. I'm like a huge Rockstar fan, straight up a fanboy to be honest, as many people probably know. So I love Red Dead, I love GTA. So I can talk about it endlessly and I love talking about it. So as information comes out, I'll talk about that, analyze it, as of course, share screenshots, thoughts, reviews, interviews, everything. And I think mainly people care about my thoughts. That's why I think my page has stood out compared to normal news ones, because you can get the news from pretty much anyone, the same news, but you're not going to get my opinion on the news alongside it. So that's the main thing I'm like standing out in as far as I can tell.
And like with your thoughts, like have is this like something that you're just like naturally really good at? Like this is something that you've like gravitated towards when you're younger and you're just able to like see things that other people can't see?
I would say, yeah, I think I find it really interesting to share my thoughts, and it does tend to be things that people maybe don't see. And I think that's mainly a thing because I grew up on watching reviewers, IGN, GameSpot, Angry Joe, all of these guys. So I think I just got that ingrained in my head at this point.
Who are some of the creators that have influenced you personally in your content creation journey?
Let me think. Actually, that's a good question. I really love Angry Joe. I already mentioned him a couple times. His stuff, like, I just always loved his humor. And who else influenced me? Let's see. I really like. There was this guy called, I think his name is Paul Tassi. He's really good on Twitter. He writes for Forbes, and I always really liked his stuff. That was like an inspiration to me because his stuff is really informative, and then he gives his take on it, and that was something I always wanted to do. So that's the second person. And there was like some old YouTubers I used to watch. They made like Assassin's Creed videos, and they were like the most British people you could ever see, by the way. They were like the first British people I got to know. So they were a big influence as well on how I give my thoughts. They were like really controversial as well, and I tend to have controversial takes sometimes, so that was also a thing.
So from when you first started till now, has your like content creation strategy changed? Has like the types of content that you create changed? Like how what's your evolution been like since you first started?
I think when I started, it used to just be writing random thoughts. I wouldn't even like think about it much. And then the second phase was more engaging. So I would reply to a lot of pages. I'd like really reply to them, get to know their perspective because I really like to. I found that replying to things was a good way to get started, like back in the day. I don't know if I think it still applies with the verification thing on X, but that was a big thing I used to do back in the day. And then it slowly, as I got my own following, I started to want to make my own content. So it evolved in a pretty slow way, I would say. So at first it was just sharing some clips, maybe I wouldn't really share reviews, just some thoughts on something big going on at the moment. Usually, I'd quote retweet. So it was mostly riding off other people. That was like the main thing because I didn't have the following. And then when I got the following, it became more about making content that people care about and more informative content. So I think, especially the past like 6 months, my tweets have really changed completely because since we can make long stuff, I love just putting out information in a short form and then putting my thoughts. That's like the final form of where I'm at right now.
And so what types of content do you mainly create? And then do you have a favorite type?
Okay, so okay, one of them is reviews. Reviews are like quite rare to come out for me because I take long to finish games, but they usually blow up. And then I mix news, but it's more like it's less about what news that's out and more about what news I care about. So if it's GTA 6 news, I care a lot about that. But if something I don't want to care about, then I won't cover it. And then I make opinion pieces, a lot of them. People don't like them sometimes. I don't know if you've seen the Baldur's Gate 3 one. That one made numbers because people really didn't like them. I stand by it though. And I also just like making jokes. I really like laughing with people.
I think there's a for a lot of creators, it's like walking that fine line between like creating for the audience and then creating for yourself. And like it sounds like, you really do take your own passion seriously and that you focus on what lights you up versus like only catering to your audience. Would you say that's correct?
Definitely, yeah, because I sometimes tweet about things that no one really wants to hear me talk about them. Like, I made a review on Modern Warfare 3 that got like 20 likes, but I'm like, I wanted to talk about Modern Warfare 3, I just played it. So, yeah, you're right. Definitely, it's all about passion.
So how do you go about reviewing games? Like what kind of things do you look for when you're giving a complete analysis?
I actually tend to look for, did I enjoy it? That's the main thing. Because sometimes some of these games are Starfield was a controversial one. People, I get its issues. It's not technically it's terrible. It has a lot of floating screens. The exploration's kind of dead, but I gave it a 9 out of 10 because the whole time I was playing it, I was having a blast, straight up blast. I loved playing that game, and I put like 100 hours into it. So it's not objective at all. And I do usually put a warning. I just say this isn't really an objective review. It's just how I felt playing it. And if I so now I see opinion criticisms of Starfield, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. It has these issues, but I still had a blast, and that reflects it in my review, which I wrote, which just says, yeah, I see these problems, but these things that made me have fun, I feel like really outshone them. So yeah, that's the main thing in my reviews that I focus on.
And what's your approach to interacting with and engaging with your followers on, like, let's say, Twitter?
See, these days I engage less because I have a lot of classes, so that's gotten a bit of shame. I used to reply all the time, and usually it's not about replying to everyone, but I do reply to the people that I want to just talk about with. So sometimes it's kind of a war zone down there when I reply, so I tend to stay away. I don't know why. Everyone just hates each other down there. I didn't even do anything. But sometimes I just see someone, hey, they respond to me with their own opinion, and I want to discuss it. That's the main thing I really enjoy, just discussing things. So that's my approach usually.
And has that changed from when, I guess it has changed, right? Because in the beginning you were saying like you were like reply guy, like trying to like that's how you're trying to grow your engagement, and now it's kind of like it really does come down to like what you're interested in and what you're passionate about and what you can share your honest opinion
Yeah,
of. Yeah.
yeah, I can't reply to anyone anymore. I get like 2,000 replies a day, probably.
Do you use any sort of like content creation tools or any sort of like management tools to kind of help you keep track of stuff?
For my own account, no, I just schedule tweets. That's the main thing that I do use.
Okay. And so like after Elon like took over Twitter and like he's changed the platform dramatically, like do you have you seen you said that in the last 6 months especially you've experienced a lot of growth. So like would you say there's a lot of positive changes from him having taken over X, Twitter X?
I would say for the creators, 100%. X wasn't really a creator platform at all. So yeah, definitely, it's way better for us.
Wow. Yeah, I get it's really incentivizing creators and like actually
Yeah.
supporting them with, yeah.
And I
What
also thought about it. He did lay off a lot of employees, like most of Twitter, but this website is still running. That's something I feel like people haven't really taken into account. And it's like kind of thriving at this point.
Yeah. In your experience, what are some of like the key factors in building and maintaining a strong online community in the gaming space?
Definitely be consistent, like 100% be consistent. So if I stop posting for a day, that's gonna like really hurt my page. Be consistent, and especially on X, it tends to support talking about things repeatedly. So if I talk a ton about GTA 6, it's only gonna keep growing and growing and growing. So I'm not sure about that game for a couple months, so that's why it's like number two at this point. And yeah, definitely. So yeah, it still goes back to consistency. If you focus on something, the algorithm will always push you forward on that topic. So for me with Cyberpunk and GTA right now, if I talk about these games, it's gonna always get like 5K minimum in the likes.
Hmm. What are some of like the lessons that you feel like you've learned in your journey as a creator?
Hmm. I would say, I think just making content that people care about. Don't make controversial things. Bait posts don't really work. Like if you want to bait and think it's gonna make you money, first it's not gonna make you money. It's gonna make everyone hate you, and it's kind of a waste of everyone's time. Just make content that's positive. I would say that's the main thing I learned. Be positive, and you'll gain a following because you're not hating on everything. People don't want to care. Don't want to. I think I really learned quite fast. And even if you make like a controversial post and it gets like 1 million views, it's not going to show in over time in your growth. Maybe you'll make a little bit of money off it. That happens, but it's not really going to pay off at all in the long term. So talk about things you like. That's the main thing I realized.
Yeah, and that's also like that comes back to like authenticity, right? Like you're really being authentic to yourself and your own, like that comes back to your voice and like having like an authentic voice, having that original voice and like sticking with it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter like how, like of course like you care about how your posts are doing, but you're talking about what you want to talk about and like how what gets more fulfilling than that.
Exactly. Like I get to talk about my favorite games and I get paid for it.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. That's pretty sweet. Do you have any advice that you would give to somebody who wants to become a content creator in the gaming space?
I would say stand out. Talk about things that you care about. Don't just give out the same news everyone's doing. Don't say them in a robotic way. Give your opinion. People want to hear opinions. I think that's the main thing I realized. People don't care about the, oh, it's just another account that's listing out all the news I need to know in a fast way. People don't care. Like I've seen a lot of people still trying it. There's a couple pages already for that, and they're huge. A good friend of mine, his name is Okami. He does that. He's like one of the biggest pages for that, and I'm happy for him, but there's no room for a second one like him. So that's the main thing. Put your posts, put yourself into it.
That's great advice. Do you have any upcoming projects or collaborations or partnerships that you're really excited about?
Well, I would say this interview is one of them. That's an exciting idea, and I'm working with the BBC. They interview me every once in a while. That's a cool thing. Like I tell my family that BBC interviewed me, and they're like, "No way!" They're really proud. So that's something. And Mogul Gaming. That's like the main thing. I'm just fully invested in. I love those guys.
And then finally, where do you see the future of gaming and content creation heading? Are there any like trends? Are there any like, like how you're saying, like with Twitter, you specifically think that like long form is actually going to make like really stand out on the platform? Are there any trends or things that you see within the overall gaming industry in terms of content creation?
Mm. I think websites are going to start being used less. Things like going to an IGN for an article. Because if X is letting you write an article on the same platform with no ads for people, they can just read the whole thing. I think that's going to change a lot. Everything. I think that's going to be completely different in a couple of years. Because if you look at, let's say, IGN's impressions on X, they're really low, especially compared to like myself. Not to flex on it, but they're really low, and especially for their following. And I don't think they're investing into the right things right now. I think things are gonna really change, and they're headed on that way. It's similar to how, news articles are kind of for Washington Post, those type of websites. They're all behind paywalls now because they realized it's not really sustainable to keep going just with ads because the numbers aren't there. And I think that's coming to the gaming industry as well.
Okay, well, those are all like the questions that I have in terms of like content creation and your journey specifically. Eric's gonna come on and he's gonna actually do like a rapid fire session with you. So we just like ask
Okay,
that you
let's
like
do it.
try to just be as like fast as you can and just like not take too long to respond. Like we just want to know like your immediate responses to things. So I'm gonna take myself off camera. I'm gonna be in the back, and then you guys are gonna battle it out. Okay.
All right. Well, thanks, Schiffer.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, Amir. So I'm just gonna fire them off and give me your best rapid fire, quick opinion. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. We'll start with first off here: console or PC gaming?
Like it's lagging. Can you repeat that? It
Oh,
lagged.
sorry. Yeah. Yeah. No. No problem. Console or PC gaming?
Yeah. Uh, PC.
PC. Okay. A single player or multiplayer?
Single player always.
Okay. GTA 5 or Red Dead Redemption 2?
Red Dead Redemption 2, obviously.
Okay. What was your first gaming console?
It's the PlayStation 2.
Okay. Story mode or online mode?
Story.
Los Santos or Vice City?
Oh, that's a good question. Wait, Los Santos.
Los Santos. Racing missions or heist missions?
Heist. I don't like racing.
Racing missions or heist missions?
Definitely heist.
Definitely heist. First person or third person perspective?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm thinking like Cyberpunk or GTA right now. Third person.
Third person. Classic GTA cheat codes, or do you play by the rules?
I actually play by the rules. Yeah, I really do.
Nothing wrong with that. Stealth missions or all out combat?
Stealth is more interesting.
Okay. Best GTA game of all time?
San Andreas, definitely.
Okay. Who wins in the boxing match, Trevor Phillips or Arthur Morgan?
Trevor Phillips can go invincible, so I think it's Trevor.
Okay. Assassin's Creed or Cyberpunk?
Cyberpunk.
What's your all-time favorite video game character?
Arthur Morgan, man. He's the GOAT.
Okay. If you could live in any game world, which would it be?
I think it's a bad idea, but I'm gonna say Cyberpunk just because the future is cool. But I'd probably be like crushed by the debt and the economy and the capitalism.
Well, at least you'd be in the future, so I don't blame you there.
True.
What game has the best storyline you've ever experienced?
I would say that I would always say Red Dead to that question, but I just played Alan Wake 2, and that's like a masterpiece. I think it might be the best.
Okay. If you could have any in-game item in real life, what would it be?
Only the Apple of Eden from Assassin's Creed. It's an interesting tool. You can like mind control people with it.
It's a fantastic answer. All right. How about most underrated game?
Sleeping Dogs. That game is a masterpiece. I wish it got a sequel.
Okay. Most overrated game.
I made a tweet about this and people were unhappy, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I think it's The Last of Us.
Okay. That is a hot take. I'm sure that got you some
It
good
is.
interaction. Um, What's the hardest game you've ever played?
Hardest. Bloodborne, because it was like my first Souls game and it took me months to get that game done.
What's the longest gaming session you've ever had?
Okay, in lockdown, I would wake up at like 7 p.m. at night and I just play with the boys until like 10 a.m. the next morning. So probably one of those. It was like 17 hours nonstop.
17 hours. Sounds like a blast, if you ask me.
It was.
If you could design your own game, what genre would it be?
I'd probably make it an RPG, and I think I'd definitely make it. I'd basically make Kingdom Come Deliverance with a high budget.
Okay. Do you have a favorite gaming YouTuber or streamer at the moment?
For YouTuber, let me think, actually. There is this guy, what was his name? I'm gonna look it up. You don't mind me, right?
No, feel free.
Yeah, okay, one sec. Where is he? Because I've been like watching this guy a lot. He's got some really good content. Okay, yeah, there they are. Easy Allies. I really love their like reaction videos and their reviews. Those are the guys.
Cool. We'll check them out. And then lastly, which game has the best graphics you've ever seen?
I would say it's two games. It's probably so the really recent. I would say Cyberpunk. The game looks insane with ray tracing, and probably Alan Wake 2. If you see the New York area in that game, it's breathtaking. It looks so good.
Awesome. Well,
But
I'll definitely check
GTA
both
6
of those
beats them
out.
both.
Yeah, we will
Yeah,
have
and
to
GTA
wait a
6
little
beats
bit.
both of them though.
Yeah, we will have to wait, unfortunately, a little bit longer to see that. But no, great job. I love your answers. I'm going to bring Schiffer back up on here, and we'll close this thing out.
Ameer, thank you so much for joining us. That was such an awesome session.
It was. Thank you for having me on. I loved it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate your time, Amir, and we'll talk a little bit more later. But again, it was wonderful to hear what you had to say, and look forward to seeing more of what you put out there. So we'll see you later.
See you later. Thank you for having me on.